think the most impactful thing that we're doing now is this farm to food services collaboration that you know about. And in the last year, we've developed a relationship with the chefs in food services, and they're so excited about buying the products that we produce here on the farm, from produce to meat as well. And the positive impact for the students is that now we have students growing food for students. And each week we have a harvest of seasonal products that we send into food services. The students grow them, the students harvest it, the students prep it all and package it up and send it into food services to all the different dining halls. And it just feels like the really, righteous thing to be doing. The other part of that that's really been rewarding is that anything that's not, that we can't use for food services because either we have too much or they don't need it that week, whatever that it looks like, we're able to send that food to the food pantry, to the Office of Sustainability Food Pantry. So the students are harvesting this food to send to food services, and they're harvesting the rest of it to send to the food pantry for other students. So the students are getting the food one way or the other on campus, and it just feels like one of the neatest things that we're doing and can be doing out here. We have Farm Ops 1 and 2 in each fall and spring. We have those. We have farm practicum classes in the summer. We also have livestock classes out here as well. So there's usually students here every day during the week, and they're getting all sorts of diversified opportunities to do things on the farm, from starting and planting and raising vegetables, to learning about beneficial insects and planting habitat for pollinators, to fencing pastures for livestock, to feeding and caring for the livestock, construction projects where, as farmers, we understand that we have to be able to do it all. And so we love being able to share with them how to operate equipment, how to build, work on barns and other structures on the farm, and how to install and repair irrigation systems, and all of those things. So there's never a dull moment out here. It's always something different. And I tell the students, we've got this plan of what we hope to accomplish, but we never know any day when we show up at the farm what we're going to need to do. And so our plans change all the time, and we have to be flexible enough to go with the flow. And depending on the weather and the needs of the farm, we have to be able to just jump right in and do whatever it takes to keep this place running. So it's exciting, it's challenging as it can be, but we're up for it. I think it's one of the most important things that anyone can be involved with. I think, and of course I would, it's what I love, it's my passion, it's what I do. But I think the opportunities to work outdoors, do hard work, accomplish great things, grow food and medicine, learn all of these different skills, including life skills. There's so many life skills that you can learn on the farm. And, things like perseverance and overcoming, challenges and those kinds of things. It happens all the time on the farm. And I see that in the students. They sometimes don't really realize what it is that they're coming out here to do. And I think it may just be to plant some stuff or harvest some stuff. And they don't really realize until they've sometimes completed a course just how rewarding it is to do this great work and to see the results of their work by producing food that feeds other students. It's just one of the biggest things that we all have to deal with is, being flexible, and the challenges in our world today, from everything, from climate and everything else, provide us opportunities to grow and to become stronger as people, not only farmers, but just as people in general. And so, for the folks that want to be farmers or entrepreneurs or really anything in life, learning to overcome obstacles, learning to hang in there and be flexible and meet the challenges of life, whatever they are, is just a huge opportunity that we have here on the farm. Well, we're always looking at what's happening with the things that we are doing, and do we see changes? Do we see crops performing differently, or do we see different weeds showing up, or do we see different insects declining or advancing? And so we're always observations, and being observant as farmers is just a huge part of what we have to be able to do. And so we're always trying to just be aware. Sometimes those things are so subtle when you're involved in it on a day-to-day basis that you don't really realize it in the current time. Then you look back and say, well, just wonder why those didn't do as well this year. And then we start look at the weather we had this year, look at the impacts of the weather we have. The weather, the unpredictable nature of the weather these days is making it more challenging than ever before. I've been doing this for a lifetime, and it's more challenging now and continues to get to be more challenging every year. If you're not up for a challenge, then this is not a field for you. I think my understanding of climate change is that it's not that it's just necessarily getting hotter or any one thing. It's that the extremes are so much greater now. So it's drier some years, it's wetter some years, it's hotter some years, it's colder some years or months, and so it's not like we have the same fairly predictable patterns that we've always had. It's just extremely variable, and there's not the consistency that we've kind of been used to. And so that's the thing that makes it really challenging. If we knew it was just going to be getting drier and drier and hotter, well, we could do things about that, but it's not. I mean, this year, and for the last 2 years, one of those years was so wet that we couldn't get into gardens that we've always been able to garden. And then this year it dried up. As soon as we put in drainage to take care of all those wet issues, then we had drought and we needed to put in irrigation. So it's just like that. I'm seeing the folks that are developing plant varieties, looking at ones that can withstand the variables, for one thing, that are just, can withstand tougher conditions. I think we'll continue to see that. We haven't really changed varieties very much so far, at least I haven't. We're still pretty much growing the things that we've been able to grow. The seasons change a little bit, so sometimes we're not able to get them in as early or as late as we want, and we see seasons maybe shorter for whatever reason. So it does make it tougher. So I think one of the things I've always believed in was diversity of income streams, or diversity of plantings on the farm, for instance. So that if something, if we have a failure of our pepper crop this year, well, we've got an abundance of something else. So we don't grow any monocultures, we grow a diversity of crops. And some years, we have a better tomato year. This year we had a great tomato year. Last year we had a terrible tomato year. And so by having a diversity, we don't have all our eggs in one basket. And the students seem to really love that. People in general love this. I think part of it's the idea of taking more control of your life by not only growing your food, but also learning how to participate in your health by your medicines, perhaps. And so I've made a long study of people around the world and traditions of plant medicine making from around the world, and I just love that. And so as we've got an apothecary set up in here, and every class, no matter what class I teach, in every course we have at least one day where we're making medicine, and that's how much I believe in it. I first was introduced to plant medicine when I went to Findhorn and attended the Findhorn Garden School in Scotland in 1981, And I got to work in their apothecary, and I'd never seen anything like that. And it just really resonated with me. And so, from then on, I've kind of gone about learning more about that and figuring out what that looked like and doing more with it, making tinctures and salves. But the beauty of it for us is that we're not just making them, but we're also, in most cases, growing the crops, growing the plants. And so we're learning about the plants, we're starting them from seeds, we're investing our energy into it from the very beginning, growing these, medicinal plants, harvesting them, processing them, making them into every kind of tinctures and salves, and then learning how to use those and what that means in relationship to our health. And I love that stuff.
I don't think there are many farms like these for students in the United States. What do you think?
I don't think there are, and I think that's what makes us unique, is that we have great personnel, we have a great Appalachian farm, and a place where we can provide the Appalachian experience for those people that are coming here to this university to get that. And so we can provide that to not only our program, but to anybody from the university that wants to come out here and have this Appalachian experience. And then participate in any number of things that we're doing, from poultry to plant medicine to greenhouse production of crops to vegetables, beneficial insects. We grow cut flowers to put on the tables, and it just goes on and on and on. One of the challenges is figuring out what to grow, what our customers want, the chefs. So we've had some great meetings with them to follow up on this season's production, and to see how we can make it work better for them next year. So we've determined, they don't want as many hot peppers. We found that out, and they want a whole lot more kale and greens. They want braising greens of all kinds. They love what they call the braising greens. So the kale, the collards, the chard, the mustards, and all of those things. They want a lot more of those. And romaine lettuce and basil, always basil, and cherry tomatoes. So we're going to focus a little bit more on some of those crops and maybe not grow some of the other things that we were growing that didn't go over so well. I love, sharing resources with the students so that they can have when they leave here, because I understand. So I love being able to introduce resources to students that they can take with them or look up and find and take with them when they leave here, because I understand that all I can really do is introduce people to subjects, but if I can give them resources to refer to in the future, I think that's just so huge. So one of the ones that I always give out, as you know, is the Johnny's catalog, and Johnny's seed companies sends me cases of catalogs each year to give to the students. And if you can see this, of course, the catalog is beautiful, but if we could just get on you can take any page in here and you just look at, the diversity of crops in here. And it's a market gardener's catalog, so they have production information that's appropriate for market farmers. And a lot of catalogs don't have that. They just talk about how pretty something is or whatever. And so this is a huge resource. And so I think it's just so much fun to be able to sit down with a paper catalog. Online resources are wonderful, but sometimes, especially in the winter, we want to sit down with a paper catalog on the sofa by the fire and dream of next year's gardens. And that's what this does. And then, of course, there's other companies and catalogs and books. I have some of my favorite books up here that I pull out and share with students, just to introduce them to the resources that hopefully they'll find useful in the future.
Some sort of bench
do some
here.
seeding out here.
Do some reseed this in grass.
This little creek through here.
So we'll make this a
little
nice
garden
little
spot.
Nice little garden seating area.
Yeah. So it's just an opportunity. Oh, Todd, he is my right-hand man, and I can't imagine, doing this without him. He was, in case you probably know this, but he was a student of mine at Western Piedmont Community College, where I started a sustainable ag program about a decade ago. And so that's where I met Todd. And then he was so good that I hired him as my farm manager at Western Piedmont Community College, where we had this beautiful, big campus student-run farm. That's where I learned how talented he is and how many skills he has. And he's just he's one of those jack of all trades. And and we complement each other well. I think we have different skill sets, and he brings this great farming background to the table, and can build and fix anything. And as you know, that's such an important thing to be able to do on the farm. So this is where we find Todd in the kitchen. Thank goodness.
In the kitchen.
He's our chef extraordinaire. And the students love that because Todd always fixes meals for the students, and they just have come to love that part of it. We always eat food and cook food together. He loves the students so much, and he's like, I think, their favorite uncle. You know? Uncle Todd. Yeah.
Uncle Todd.
Yeah.
Uncle Todd.
And but he sure knows how to cook, and he loves to feed those students.
Well, I do. I love to cook, and just to see the enjoyment they have when they all sit down and all get together and talk and eat and have fun. And, it's always a good time.
Just like you. Yes, this is a unique farm, and every student, you have taught me a lot, and I have learned so much from you and from Todd.